Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome, my friends. My name is Vincenzo, and welcome to my channel, Fountain Pen Therapy. As you know, in the last several reviews, I had received these three skeleton pens, and I promised to all of you that I would be reviewing them fairly quickly so that you can make up your minds as to which one amongst these three and perhaps others that you want to choose, either for gift giving or to make yourself a gift. We've reviewed the Hongdian, we have the Jinao, and we have the Majohn. And this review will review the Majohn T6. Stay tuned. Okay, so we're back with the pen, and here it is. And the first thing that I would like to show you is that it comes in different colors. So if I can just give me a second, and we'll put up on the screen, the computer screen, you see, and I think the best representation of all the colors is on the AliExpress site. You see the various colors that it comes in. They're basically all like city light motifs. In other words, you could see on the clip the traffic light, and then especially on the silver, you see the motif, the road signs and the road directions, etc. So there you have it, and perhaps even the city lights, if you will, on the cap. So you see that we have three of them, and if I can get my pointer to cooperate here, I'm not sure which one I got, frankly. I did aim for this one here, the very gold and really blue, but I'm not sure I got it. I think I got this grayish blue in between, but I'll let you guys be the judge of that, and hopefully my camera can bring it out for you. But that's my, sincerely, that's my feeling, and I'm not sure that that's what I wanted. So if we're going back to the pen, here it is. In my view, this is not the light blue or the crisp blue resin that I ordered. I ordered that one, but I think I've got the grayish blue. So the verdict is still out. I just don't have one that's that lighter blue shade, so I'm not sure which one it is. But on my order sheet, it's the sky blue. So there you have it. In any event, this is really nice, whatever color you choose. I think, yes, the motif on the silver, well, actually not the silver, because there's silver that looks like this motif, but there are really two models or two general motif, and this is one of them. So on the outside, the pen is nice size. The Majohn branding is on the finial here. Finial is flat gold, both of them on both sides. And there, of course, is that clip with the traffic lights, which I think is a nice design. Now, is it functional? I think it is. The overlay of this skeleton design is very, very smooth compared to some of the other pens, and we will take a look at a comparison just shortly. I think you can see more of the translucent resin underneath than you do in the other pens. I also like this band. There is some design work there. There's some embossing, which makes it all the more interesting. There you have it. That's the outside of the pen. There's really nothing else that I wanted to point out. I don't see the T6 anywhere. Maybe it is and I'm missing it, but I tried to look for it. And that's one of the things that Majohn doesn't, I'm not even sure they've done it in any of their pens, but we don't see the model number as we do in Asvine or Asvine and Hongdian, and I think they should. They should. That way we know where we're going, because all of these numbers, after a while, at least when it comes to myself, I just, I lose track. So there you have it. That's the outside. Now let's see how many turns to uncap it. That's 1. Okay, so it's 1 3/4, if you will. And that reveals this nib, which is the Majohn medium nib, number 6 steel. Now let me make, with the plastic feed, let me make a comment right away. I just don't know, and I think I've said this many times, I just don't know why Majohn, who does have a 1.1 stub, would not offer that stub, or would not have manufactured it such that it can be used in other pens other than the P136. I've got to sit down and take the time just to see whether or not which other pen I can accommodate that stub nib. But it just writes so nicely, and in my view, it's just a pity that they wouldn't allow that choice on all of their other pens, because they'd be the first to have extra fine, medium, and stub. And you would think that they would take advantage of that. But I guess there's too much work in grinding that nib to make it into a stub, and maybe that's, there's a price differential there. But you can always charge a little premium for the stub. I've seen that before. So there you have that nib. Very, very nice. Now, in terms of the section, the pen is very comfortable. And again, like most of these skeleton pens, I don't believe that the section is all that slippery, because there's a hollow skeleton metal overlay, and not a solid barrel, if you will. The pen is not as heavy as it would be had it been a solid barrel. And you know what? It's very, very comfortable. I don't see an issue here at all. Nice size. Those threads are extremely smooth. Well done. There's a little flare there, and this nib can be twisted and removed. That's not a problem. Of course, it's a piston converter. Oops, is it jammed? No, here we go. There's no ink in there right now. Nice, nice ink capacity. I don't know if Chris Rapp has tested this one to see whether or not it can be improved. I don't recall him doing that, but he usually does. It's one of the things he looks for, is to try to dismantle this piston knob and get the mechanism to, retrieve a little further up so that you can maximize the ink capacity. I just don't have the technical skills, or I don't want to take the chance, put it this way. So, but look out for that. He often does that. There you have it. In terms of the cap, there is, let me just get my trusted flashlight just to see what we have in there. Yeah, you can see there's that step that guarantees that is meant to provide some sealing, and we would hope that this pen seals properly. But there again, very nice, build quality. A lot of work goes into building a pen like this, and yet we're still lucky enough to be able to purchase them at fairly reasonable prices. So I can't stop applauding these Chinese, at least the four main ones, which in my view are Asveen, Majohn, Hongdian, and Jinao. Keep going, folks. Eventually, they've given us piston fillers. They've given us number size 8 nibs that are now, I noticed, are being used by other pen manufacturers, especially some of the independent ones that turn their pens I've seen the Jinao number size 8 nib being offered as an option. Isn't that wonderful? So there you have it. So that in essence is the pen. So what I propose next is to do a size comparison. We'll put up some measurements and then proceed with the writing sample. Okay, so there we're back with the pens and for a size comparison, and we can see that the Majohn is almost as big as the Asvine, and the Asvine is the one that really is the biggest one of them all. In terms of girth, it rivals all of them, but you could see that they're all fairly nice sized pens. You know, they're all in the range of 44 to 47 grams. And I've thrown in the P136 for a particular reason, but we'll get to that. That's the Majohn P136. We'll get to it when we look at the nibs. But there you have a size comparison of the pens, all capped. Of course, if you haven't recognized this is the Ongdian D1. This is the Ongdian A6. This is the Jinao 100 hollow skeleton, I believe it referred to. The Asvine, I forgot the number, but there you go, P80, sorry. See how quick that was? Because they have it on the ring. P80, and of course there's a subject pen, which is the Majohn T6. So there you have it. Here you have the pens uncapped, if you will. And you can see that the Majohn, along with the Asvine P80, are the biggest ones. And then in order, I think the two Ongdians are comparable, and the Jinao is slightly longer, almost as big as the other two. And then the P136 is there for comparison purposes. Now, I did mention to you that I wanted to show you why I included the P136, and just bear with me. I'm going to try to see if I can get this camera to further. There we go. Let me see if I can even get it even more. Yeah, there we go. So you can see the Ongdian nib is slightly more protruding than the Jinao. The Jinao almost looks smaller. So does the Asvine, but I think it's just a question of how deeply it sets into that nib unit. But you know what? It's just another little touch of Ongdian. You kind of get the sense that that nib is a little longer, if you will, and it's, I think, a nice touch. The same for this Majohn. As you can see, the length there. Now that's the medium, but take a look at that's the stub on the P136, and I just can't, for the life of me, understand. You know, there's even a nice breather hole there. Look at that. Can't understand why they have not made it such that I could use this in other pens. And the reason why I think you can't is, and sorry, I just have to get rid of what's on the bottom, otherwise the camera won't cooperate. But, you know, this is that mechanism where you need to use a tool. It's got a hole there and a hole there to remove this nib, and then when you remove the nib, it's got kind of slots, and I haven't taken the time, frankly, to figure it all out, to see if I could take out that nib and use it with other pens. I don't know if I know that Chris Rapp and Inquiring Minds you know, get to play around with their nibs that way, which is fascinating, and I always really appreciate their insights, you know. But I've asked them to comment on it, but I haven't gotten any response yet. But having said that, there they are. So those are the nibs, and that's the comparison. These are the pens posted, and I realized that I don't believe I mentioned whether or not this Majohn subject pen can be posted. Yes, it can. It just barely fits on top there. I think, though, that it affects the, you could see the piston moving. So I don't know why pen makers do that. You've got to be really, very careful when you post it. Make sure that you don't activate that mechanism, you know. So that's a risk you take, but it can be posted. Once posted, as you could see, it's huge, and it is very back weighted. I don't believe that this pen should be posted, very frankly. It's going that way. It's not going towards the page. So I'm not recommending that you post that. The same with these Asvine or Asvine P80. It just sits there and it moves. It's not really a great poster, if there is such a word. And then, of course, you have the other three, along with the P136, that post just fine. Thank you. There you have it. Do some measurements and then the writing sample. Okay, for the writing sample, I've chosen this ink, which is the Van Diemen's Birds of a Feather collection, and more particular, the Elegant Peacock neck. And it comes in a nice box. And I'm keeping the boxes these days just because I find that the manufacturers are spending so much time putting them together. And sometimes you see a little swatch there that helps choose the ink. And there you have it, the bottle. Very nice. Van Diemen's is amongst my favorite. So there you have it. In terms of the swatch, oh, by the way, the Van Diemen's, I think if you type in fountain pen therapy, they will give you a discount. I'm not sure whether that discount is still applicable, but try it if any of these inks interest you. Okay, so the Van Diemen's ink, Elegant Peacock neck, there it is. It's a nice ink. It's got some shading. It's got some sheen, red sheen in it. And we'll see. I mean, I could see the sheen here, the red sheen. We'll see if that Majohn medium nib brings out that sheen in the writing sample. So that's the swatch. As to the ink, as to the journal that I'm using this Yamamoto paper notepad. It's the Sense and Tomo River paper, A5, and I believe you can find these on Etsy. And I will put on in the description a reference to the site, and more particular to these notepads. Okay, so there you have it. Let's try to focus in as much as possible so that you can see the writing sample close in. Okay, so here we go. This is the Majohn T6 Blue Sky, although I have my doubts. Skeleton. Okay, the nib is a Majohn medium, and it's a number 6 steel. The ink is Van Diemen's Elegant Peacock. And as far as the nib is concerned, let me tell you folks, by the way, you could see the shading in the ink. You can also slowly, as the ink dries, that rich sheen I think is going to come out, but you can see it a little more here on the word peacock. So very nice with this nib. And speaking about the nib, this nib is absolutely butter smooth, extremely wet, very, very constant I mean, does it give me any line variation? No, it's a nail. It really is a stiff nib, so you won't be able to squeeze any line variation out of it. But in terms of smoothness and consistency, let's do some fast writing. Doesn't skip a beat. Really, 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 really nice. So this nib is very smooth. Very wet. And very constant. Now, in terms of the line, and I always like inquiring minds, it gives you that Binder, I don't know why I don't look at it. I just have a hard time following the line, frankly. I don't have the patience for it, but I just go by feel. The feeling I'm getting with this medium is that it's not as juicy or as thick a line as the Ongdian medium, and certainly not as thick as the Kegeloo medium. I think the Kegeloo mediums are almost broad. Sometimes they're even broader than usual. They're not always consistent. But to me, if I want to use a thicker medium, I go with the Kegeloo. The Kegeloo is just for me, it's a broad nib, and it's a really, really nice nib. But having said that, it's still a fairly nice medium that we're getting here. But like I said, I don't think it's as thick a line as what you can get from Ongdian's medium, and certainly not as thick as Kegeloo. So what do I have to say about this pen in terms of likes and dislikes? Okay, well, dislikes is the posting. It doesn't post. And that's for you folks that, post. Personally, I don't post the pens, so it makes no difference to me. And frankly, other than that, I can't find anything else wrong with this pen. That's my view. Again, the design is interesting. I'm not sure it copies anything, with those traffic lights. If it does, it's probably a Monte Grappa that's sometimes a little bit flyé, as they say, but I don't recall seeing a Monte Grappa with those city lights, but maybe there is. The build quality is very nice. The nib is just buttery, buttery smooth. Frankly, as to value, well, I've seen it vary between 45 and 49. They like to respect that $50 barrier. I just hope these Chinese don't start to get, they're starting to add. We had pens at 25, 30, and now they're 37, and then they're at 39, and now they're at 42, and before you know it, we're at 49, and you got some of the specialty pens that are being sold at 50, 60. You got the Ongdian, the Q5, the Dynasty pen, as I call it. The Qin Dynasty, that's maybe in the 80s, 90s these days, not even with a gold nib. So they better not get greedy, because if they get greedy on us, then we're going to criticize them like we're criticizing good old Italians that are overpricing their pens. I'm not being racist there. I'm Italian, and I would love to buy only Italian pens if I could, but I can't afford them. Not at the price they're selling them. So, but we won't get into that. We've already ranted and raved about it. And you know what? I realize I need to do a nice Italian pen review just to get me back to my roots. Okay, here we go. So value, they're inching up. Jinao is still, I think, the ones that's the most reasonably and really low priced. I mean, you can get these 19s now, the Dadao pen, for less than $20, that's why I've gotten every color. There you just for the nib, it's worth purchasing. So there you have it. The value is, like I said, mixed feelings. Is this a go-to pen? Yes, it is. Absolutely. 10 on 10, folks. Very, very, very nice. So that's my review. Let me just sign it. And wish you all a very nice day. Enjoy your pens. Enjoy all the reviews. You know, all these pens are being reviewed all at the same time. Some of them may even have been reviewed before, like this one. But you know, compare, see what you got. I'm trying to do pens that, you know, with colors that other reviewers haven't done, so it gives you the variety. Like I said, I'm not affiliated with anybody. I don't get any of these pens thrown at me for review purposes. I buy all my pens. This is my purely objective and subjective view, but it's got nothing to do with the manufacturers, that's for sure. And I hope you appreciate my reflection, my input on them. And please share your comments. I love to hear from you. I try to respond as quickly as possible. State bene, fate bravi, and ciao.